Can you believe that it's been over 6 years since I covered the first Legend of Kyrandia game on this channel? Covering the sequel is well overdue at this point, really. The second game, Hand of Fate, was released a year after the first game in 1993 by Westwood Studios, and once again, published by Virgin Interactive. Rather than Brandon, the player was now occupying the role of Zanthia, who we met in the first game.
So, what's in the cauldron? A potion for time travel?
No, this is my laundry.
Oh.
And the threat this time is an evil hand. Not kidding.
Stop it, evil hand, stop it! I just can't control my evil hand.
Although that's technically a minor spoiler. I mean, it is kind of in the title and it's pretty obvious early on, but whatever. Kyrandia 2 has a pretty strong reputation among point-and-click fans. One review even calls it the crown jewel of the Kyrandia series. And that's pretty exciting. I wonder where it stacks against the first game for me. Which reminds me, before we begin, I'm actually going to do a recap of the first game. I wouldn't ordinarily do something like this, but A, it's been 6 years since I covered it, and B, I didn't really cover complete games back then. I'd often get through a good chunk of the game and then cut it off for quote-unquote spoiler reasons. I don't know why I did that. I now realise that that's a mistake. If people care about the spoilers, they'll play it themselves, or just stop watching the video. So yeah, I'll give you ample warning, but I want to cover everything now. That's why the videos are so long these days. So for the sake of completion, I'm going to give you a brief run through of that game now. Feel free to skip through this chapter if you're not interested. In Book 1 of Legend of Kyrandia, Malcolm the Jester breaks free of a jail, one that he was held in by the royal mystics for 18 years after killing the king and queen of the land. Now he controls the Kyra Gem, the source of magic in the land of Kyrandia. The chief of the royal mystics, Kalak, writes to his colleague Bryn, knowing that Malcolm will soon come for him, and he does, turning him to stone.
Now you are stone, yet I leave your eyes. I shed no tears for Kyrandia, but cannot deny you yours.
In the first Legend of Kyrandia, you play as Brandon, Kalak's grandson and apprentice. It's up to Brandon to figure out how to stop Malcolm, and save both his grandfather and the land that the Jester is destroying. You are directed by the priestess Bryn to a magic amulet that sits in the corner of your interface. And I like this little thing. It's a unique twist on the genre. We'll get more into that later, because your spells get slotted down here. And from there you go to the Timber Mist Woods to meet Darm the Wizard, as well as his sassy dragon Brandywine. I love these two.
What do you want, boy? Are you taking orders for cheese?
This is Brandon, you old dolt. You know, Kalak's grandson, the one on a quest to overthrow Malcolm's power.
I knew that. So, Branson, you're a dancer.
This game has so many cute and quirky characters, all of them very memorable, and a lot of Kyrandia 1 has Brandon exploring the land and uncovering his magic powers. First of all, he gets a healing spell from a talking flower.
I feel different. Am I stronger now or what?
I suppose that's up to you. I've done my part, so if you don't mind, I'll get back to my own problems. Come on, Roots, let's get going.
This can be used to heal himself and others, and soon Brandon makes his way into the Serpent's Grotto, the game's resident labyrinth, which needs to be lit with fire berries on pain of death.
I can't see a thing in here. Uh-oh.
Oh, no!
Like that. I've gone on record before as not liking this segment, and I think I've softened on it a little bit. Sure, it's tricky to navigate at first, but once you get the will-o-wisp power, you don't have to worry anymore. From here, Brandon meets with Zanthia, who aids through her potion-making abilities.
What am I doing here? Did you transport me magically?
You got hit on the head and I dragged you in here.
Zanthia reveals a truth to Brandon which he hadn't been told before. He is a prince. And not just any prince, he's the prince. The son of the murdered king and queen, as well as the true heir to the throne. Kalak had been protecting him for years, kind of like a Jon Snow situation. Zanthia soon disappears after doing a couple of tasks, presumably Malcolm's doing, but the game never confirms it. He pops up throughout the game to be a menace actually, taking items and threatening Brandon.
I leave you now, and dodge your sorrow, but I may not be nice tomorrow.
It's all a game to Malcolm, a big twisted game, but it's one to beat him at. The water from the fountain around here gives us our third spell, a sort of dispel magic ability to clear out force fields. I'm honestly not a big fan of this particular part of the game. There's a lot of backtracking for specific items, which it's not difficult, but it takes so much time. You need to do some alchemy yourself now by mixing gems and flowers to make different colours of potion. The thing is, it's not necessarily clear what you need to do with these. The colours need to be mixed at these crystals to combine them. The purple and orange potions are absolutely necessary to beat the game, which means making 2 red potions in the cauldron at Zanthia's. If you don't make enough of these potions, you'll need to walk all the way around to get the necessary ingredients. It's all the walking around that makes this tiresome. I wish there had been a teleport spell of some kind or a map system. And it's weird to say this, but the original Simon the Sorcerer outflanked this game on that front. We'll get to that one very soon, by the way. Anyhow, the purple potion shrinks Brandon after a little fawn steals a chalice from him. And we do need this chalice. And the orange one turns Brandon into a Pegasus so he can fly to the castle. You just need to ensure that you've got the chalice, iron key, and a rose before you leave. The rose is used in the graveyard of the castle to lay on the resting place of Brandon's parents.
My baby, I knew you'd come.
Mother?
You have grown up, handsome son. You have your father's eyes.
Netting Brandon his final power, invisibility. This one is important to get through the castle gates because otherwise...
Oh no! Oh no!
that. Once you're in the castle, the final segment begins, and this is a great part of the game, very eerie with some solid puzzles. It does have another labyrinth, but this one's not too difficult to traverse. Getting into it is a little bit confusing though, you have to go through this fireplace. The main goal here is to amass all the royal treasures, including the chalice, and get through this door. And once everything is back in its proper place, you'll face off with Malcolm once and for all. He turns Brandon to stone if you don't act fast enough, but if you turn invisible and stand in front of the mirror, his spell is reflected back at him. Thus ending the first Legend of Kyrandia. Replaying it for this video was an interesting experience. I think it's a decent adventure game with a couple of downfalls. A lot of the problems I can pretty much boil down to the game just padding things out and wasting your time. The world and the characters are a lot of fun, and most of the puzzles are pretty solid. Plus, it's a beautiful game with absolutely gorgeous art and a wonderful soundtrack. I wonder how much of that fun continues with Kyrandia 2. Shall we find out? As Hand of Fate begins, we're told of some grave news.
Kyrandia is disappearing. Rock by rock and tree by tree.
Well, at least the Serpent's Grotto's gone. And yes, the narrator here is Brandon, the protagonist from the first game. He doesn't appear in this game other than this, so it's a cute little cameo. I like that they figured out a way to include him. A meeting of magic minds then occurs to figure this problem out, including a number of characters from the first game, Zanthia, Darm and Brandywine. We also have a character we haven't met before, Marco, and his new valet, a giant hand. What's the physiology of a creature like this? How does it see? Does it eat? I have many questions. The hand happens to know that the way to deal with this problem is through an anchor stone, and Zanthia is selected as the right woman for the job. I mean, she was one of the only competent people in the first game, so it checks out.
Did Darm and Bryn at least get all the gems activated on your amulet?
I have 2.
2? Probably Healing and Will-O-Wisp.
And this means that she's the new protagonist for this game, and I adore her as a character. You'll see why. But we're dropped into her shoes and naturally we start at her swampside laboratory.
This should be enough blueberries to open a portal to the center of the world. If they think I'm going to walk all the way down there, they're nuts. Hey! All my equipment has been stolen!
Except someone has trashed it.
Now who would break my Christmas ornaments?
And all of her stuff is stolen too, so someone doesn't want this to be an easy ride. So in order to get this journey underway, we have a bog to explore. And I was initially curious as to why none of this area was explored in Kyrandia 1, considering Brandon does visit Zanthia's place. But I noticed a difference in the paths upon a closer look. Check this out side by side. Turns out the paths head in slightly different directions. They thought of all the nerdy nitpicks here. Those Westwood guys are pros. I do like this bit though. The frog monster outside here was a way you could die in Kyrandia 1.
Are you hungry, little fella?
But in Hand of Fate, it just highlights how different Zanthia is as a protagonist. She's not a newbie, she's dealt with stuff like this many a time before.
Watch it, slime ball. I don't have time to mess with you today.
I don't know how to explain it, but she has like Princess Leia energy to me. Does that make sense? Anyhow, the main goal for this first section of the game is to find passage to the Morning Mist Valley. And against Zanthia's wishes, it does seem like we're going to have to get there on foot. The local ferryman can take us there, but he needs payment in gold.
Hey, I've been robbed. I don't have any money right now.
You're the alchemist? Make some gold.
Oh, that's right, Zanthia is an alchemist. That's actually an important facet of this game, but we don't have the right kit for that yet. So maybe he'll just be fooled? There is some sulfur around here that looks like it could be gold.
Nice try, but I'm no fool.
Alright, fine, I guess we'll try some alchemy then. The swamp has a number of places to explore, with people to meet and silly ways to die. Oh my, are there silly ways to die. Like for instance, petting a crocodile too many times.
I like living dangerously.
I do feel like the game gives you ample warning with these deaths though. They're not Sierra level by any means. To begin with, you'll find yourself wandering around and picking up various random objects, and meeting all sorts of people. The aforementioned ferryman, a frog merchant, a couple of fishermen, and Marco.
Where is your hand anyway?
Oh, he's around here somewhere. He seems to really enjoy hiking in the swamp. Here he is! Hello, Mr. Hand. Are you enjoying your hike?
Zanthia seems to think there's something in the cave here which might give us the gold we need. Alas, a rather unfriendly rat is blocking the way.
Hey! Don't sneak up on me like that! For a minute I thought my tail was a snake.
I guess we have to get rid of this guy then. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do without the cauldron or spellbook. That is Zanthia's whole thing after all. And on top of that, you may notice this conspicuous absence in the corner of the interface here. Almost like there's something missing. In Kyrandia 1, it was the spell amulet, but here, it's different. These missing pieces are nearby. There's a spellbook in a tree stump by these carnivorous plants. Also, Marco is here.
Marco, what happened to you?
What? I like doing this.
Marco's a fun character. He's also completely incompetent. Zanthia clearly enjoys that quality in a man. In fact, these two are in a relationship, which the game is weirdly coy about.
Hey, my old spellbook from magician school. Hey, who ripped out all the pages?
While it is good to have it back, our spellbook is missing pages. We'll just have to work with what we've got for the time being. Spells for children, essentially. Another tree has our cauldron as well. Whoever hid these does not have much of a creative mind.
My little camping cauldron. The thief must have hid it here. Too small to make portal potions, but at least it's something.
With our gear back, we can work on some smaller potions. Perhaps this swamp snake potion. The rat man did mention being afraid of snakes after all. So what do we need to find? The book lists windy woof, smell of eggs, onion, lizard tears, and toadstool. Some of that seems pretty straightforward, some of it does not. What the hell is windy woof after all? Let's think about the easy ones first then. Smell of eggs is simple, we have that sulfur, and sulfur famously smells quite eggy, so we can check that off. Onions are all around this world and easily picked. Lovely.
Ooh, I love these.
And Zanthia is a fan of them as well, I guess. Lizard tears, well, there is that crocodile, and another onion will make him cry. You can collect those tears in a vial, which are also very easy to come by. Now for the tricky ones. Toadstool is awkward. The ingredients in general can be a little bit cheeky. Your first thought might be a mushroom, and there is one of those about. But that's not the answer. That's the wrong ingredient. This threw me at first, but the real answer is in this Toadman's shop, because there's a stool in here. It's literally a toad stool. That is the true ingredient for this potion. And if you're thinking that sounds annoying, yeah, it kind of is. So with that in mind, let's think about Windy Woof. The penchant for wordplay means we need to translate it into synonyms. Another word for woof is a bark. And it's not actually windy, but windy. Like something that whines, or perhaps gnarls. Gnarly bark, found right here, is the actual ingredient. Why is it written like this in the spellbook? Who knows? It's just being awkward. I've gone on record as being a fan of wordplay puzzles, but I think there is a point where you maybe go a little bit too far. That could just be me. But hey, with all of these gathered, we can make our snake potion. The alchemy function is very interesting here. You drop the items in your cauldron, and if correct, it'll change colours and make a noise. If you mess up, however, you'll need to pull the chain and flush it. That's pretty funny. It's a little bit fiddly at first, but I do like it. I'd only suggest keeping several saves before making a potion, just so you don't have to walk around and gather all the ingredients again. The game never locks you out if you make an error, it'll respawn all the items, but it will waste your time. This is why the toadstool joke was annoying, because I put it in assuming it'd be a logical item, and not a silly one. My mistake. At least we know the rules now. The final step of the swamp snake potion is to mix it with hot water. And we can find this very abundantly at the springs. And then we have our beautiful green snake potion. Let's scare us a rat.
Check this out. It smells better in here already.
With the rat skedaddled, this leads us to a giant skull, with teeth that make noises and glow. Weird. Except not really that weird, because this firefly tree just outside the cave has a similar premise. Okay, it's still pretty weird. This tree is a Simon Says puzzle that gives us the colour code for the skull's teeth. It even has a little song.
Cute tune, but inaccessible to the masses.
Inputting the code reveals a chest, openable by a skeleton key found at the quicksand bog. Just make sure the log is down before you cross. I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious. Inside the chest is Zanthia's alchemist rod, a tool designed to turn lead into gold. Wonderful, that is just what we need. There is also some cheese in here. That's actually what the rat was protecting. Now we'll just need something lead to turn into gold. Perhaps the anchor of the fishermen? I guess we'll need to help them too, since they're not having much luck. Maybe with some better bait, they will.
You're welcome.
And back at this little pier, the boat has docked with the anchor free to take and convert. Beautiful. So now we can pay the ferryman.
Whoa, what happened to the ferry?
Or not.
I accidentally burned it down.
I guess this dragon could give us passage though. We just need to locate a bunch of letters he was delivering. Helping a dragon postie was not what I was expecting to do, but hey. The letters are simply scattered across the area, and I must say it's kind of weird that the game gives you this last minute busy work for this segment, but whatever. We can also make sure to save Margot from the carnivorous plants by getting some plant food from the toad. This is apparently optional, but I don't think it matters if you don't help him.
I could have done that.
Shut up, Marco. Once all of the letters are found, the first segment of the game is complete, and Zanthia gets dropped off at our next area. Literally. Was this really necessary? Oh well, I like Xanthia's clothing change spell. It was actually alluded to in the first game, but we never saw it in action here. But here we are in the game's second area, the Morning Mist Valley. Structurally, Kyrandia 2 is pretty different to the first game. Kyrandia 1 has many open areas, but they're all connected and you can backtrack to them. It has a whole sprawling map. Kyrandia 2's areas on the other hand are more self-contained, to the point where your items are wiped between each section. It's an almost episodic approach to the game, which I think works fine. The backtracking in the first game did get very annoying. Here, things are kept on a much smaller scale. So here we are in the Morning Mist Valley, a rather quaint little area with lots of farmland. Our goal is to make it into the city though. Alas, the guards won't let us in no matter how much we try.
Look out! A huge monster behind you!
Not allowed! Monsters are on Mondays!
So I guess we'll just be in the farmland for now. To start with, we've got a letter for a farmer, which dropped from the dragon's knapsack.
Farmer Greenberry, Morning Mist Valley, Kyrandia, KY.
Kyrandia is in Kentucky? We can also get another vial from the hare. You'll always be able to get vials. They're the bread and butter of Kyrandia 2. A lot of this game is finding ingredients for potions above anything else. And I kind of dig that. You might wonder to yourself, well, how do I know which potion to work on? Well, you see, usually you'll start to find specific types of ingredient, and then you can begin matching it to the ingredients in the spellbook. Quite clearly, there's a lot of wheat around here, and that lines up with the sandwich spell. It fills 2 flasks apparently, and well, there are 2 guards. So usually there's enough context for you to pick up which path to go down. So here we'll need ground wheat, mustard, lettuce and cheese. It seems like a simple sandwich, but it does sound quite good. So first, let's deliver that letter to Farmer Greenberry, who offers us a mustard recipe in return for this delivery.
The Greenberry recipe is mix ground radish with vinegar. That recipe's been in our family for generations.
And Greenberry does have some vinegar to hand, perfect for this recipe. For some ingredients you won't find them outright, you'll have to do a little bit of inventory puzzling to make them, and this is one such instance. We do also get a little meanwhile cutscene here, which shows that the hand appears to have taken some of Zanthia's stuff. Suspicious.
I am very disappointed in you. Look what I found in your room. This is Zanthia's stirring paddle. If you find any more of Zanthia's stolen equipment, return it immediately.
Marco doesn't piece it together though. He's just too trusting and not very smart. A touch of the himbo, you might say. Also on the farm we can find a scarecrow and our alchemical magnet. Of course we can also grab wheat from the nearby fields, although it's not ground wheat. That's an extra step we need to figure out. But as it turns out, there is a tool for that. A big handy tool. Literally. After a small amount of repair work removing a stick, the wheel is up and running and making a lot of noise.
Wow, that electricity looks dangerous. The grinder is pounding.
Oh yeah, don't touch it. But this machine can be used to pound the wheat into submission. Ground the wheat. I should rewrite this line. The ground wheat can then be collected into a ball. So where else to look? Well, the farmer has a cellar that he's pretty protective of. Surely there's something good in there. Perhaps useful for mustard making or something else.
Keep out of my cellar. Keep out of my cellar. Keep out of my cellar.
I get the feeling you don't want me in there. I guess it's time for a point-and-click staple, the old distract the NPC trick. Our distractor for this game is a ghost. Yes, a straight-up ghost here in the wheat.
Hey, what are you?
What does it look like? I'm a ghost!
I don't know why he's there, but he is, and he wants to help. If you capture him in a vial like a genie, and then let him possess the Scarecrow, shenanigans ensue. We do love some shenanigans in a point-and-click adventure game.
Hey! Thanks!
Yippee! Yahoo! Yippee! Yahoo! Yippee! Yahoo!
Look! I'm free!
Get back to work. You haven't fulfilled your contractual obligation.
No way, I'm not working that garden again. See ya!
Well then. In the cellar we can obtain more cheese. How delightful. So we've got cheese and ground wheat, we just need some radish to make mustard and a head of lettuce. The farmer is growing both of these, but they're not ready yet. Maybe with some redirected water though, they'll be good to go.
Wow, that must be very fertile soil. Lettuce. A radish.
I'd rather have a radish.
With lettuce now done, we just have to grind this radish down the same way we did the wheat, and mix it in with the vinegar, and boom, that's mustard, baby. So let's cook up a sandwich.
If I fill a flask, will there be a sandwich in it?
As it turns out, yes. Also, the orange potion colour here looks like a big cauldron of iron brew, and now I just feel thirsty and Scottish. So, let's crack open this sandwich and tempt these half-wits from their post.
I'll leave the sandwich here. Now to hide. Finally.
Now that we're in the city, we're looking for passage in the form of a boat. Unfortunately, a lot of the people here are in a trance of sorts, and not exactly in a state to help.
Hey, this guy's a zombie.
Not everyone though, there are some clear-headed individuals in the place you'd least expect them. A tavern.
Drinking and dragons don't mix.
I beg to differ. This tavern has a locked door that just so happens to use the same code as the fireflies in the Skull Cave. For some reason. Either way, it's not too difficult to work out and head in. The tavern contains some pirates and the Scarecrow ghost from earlier. I guess this is just the secret hangout spot of the town's troublemakers. We'll fit right in. These people can at least help us out somewhat.
Do you know which boat goes to Volcania?
It's a ship, not a boat.
Excuse me.
Like I said, somewhat. Just don't gorge yourself on too much booze and taffy.
I don't feel so good. Uh-oh.
Let's leave before the sheriff finds out about this.
Oh God. Anyway, it's Pirate Poetry Night, and apparently we can't leave this place without reciting some poetry like this guy.
Do-wah-de-water, dicky-dicky, don't wade. Do-wah-de-water, do what your mom said. Dip-de-dip, but don't slip. Won't you please try to keep your knees dry?
Yep.
Nobody barfs, much on the wharfs, but rub-a-dub-dub, and most lose their grub. Heave! Heave! Ho-ho! Over the rail your biscuits go.
Well, apparently that is worth a standing ovation, so we can leave now. And there's a squid outside running a game of chance. Oh, is that what Squid Games means? You know, I was wondering. We'll ignore this cephalopod conman for a moment to explore a little more. Past here, near the giant fish building, there's some orange peel. That might not mean much to some, but it might catch your eye if you've looked through the spellbook. Clearly, someone used this orange peel as the citrus extract for a trance potion. Now, we don't need to mix up this potion ourselves. Instead, we need to counteract it with a skeptic potion. I love this little game of deduction you need to do. It's a neat use of the spellbook. A nice inversion working out a spell that someone else did. So, what do we need? A lucky horseshoe, a rabbit footprint, sweet and sour sauce, and lizard tears. All activated at an altar of doubt. Well, that's something to work on. Lucky horseshoes you might have already found at this point, as there's some in the farmer's cellar. The lucky ones point upwards rather than downwards. The lizard tears aren't too difficult either. The farmer has a pet baby dragon with him, who cries whenever you take his ball.
Dragon tears.
He's just a puppy.
Aww. And you'll already have taken his bowl in the previous segment in order to store the ground wheat and radish. For sweet and sour sauce, we already have vinegar. And if mixed in a bowl with taffy, it becomes sweet and sour. I'm not sure that's a real recipe you could use, but it's fine for adventure game logic, I suppose. So our last ingredient before activation is a rabbit footprint. The only rabbit around here is this statue, and lo and behold, you can make a mold of its footprint with a wad of mud.
Mud. Now that's going to be valuable.
No need to be snippy, Zanthia. Now, all we need to do is activate this potion at an altar of doubt, and as luck would have it, there's one right here. We just need to safely cross the gap. Like I said, safely. If we had a little bit of extra reach, we'd be fine. And there is a stick in the seahorse fountain here.
Hey, that stick again.
The same stick that was in the water wheel, actually. Turning up again like a bad penny. But it can't be that bad, since it helps us activate our potion to snap the good folks of the town out of their trance. This includes the sailors and the jailers. Beautiful. And Marco's here, in jail.
So, how do you like my help so far?
You know, I don't think you're pulling your weight, Marco. I'm just going to be honest with you. Apparently the guard threw the key in the water, so we'll have to fish it out somehow. Fish. The best way to do this is to electrify a horseshoe and turn it into a magnet to attract the key. I guess that kind of makes sense. But letting Marco out doesn't exactly go to plan.
Oh, great.
Just gets worse with this guy, huh? Well, at least we can use our magnet again. Or not. So what else have we got? There's a loose thread in Zanthia's cell, and Marco has a hook, so a fishing line can be made to get the key back.
This will look good on my record at the next review.
I'm going to go find my hand. We'll be back to help you.
Thank you, Marco. You actually did something useful. In order to travel by ship, we'll need to purchase a voucher, and luckily this mustard salesman sells them. Apparently it's 3 gold coins to gain passage to Volcania, and the way you achieve this is rather unusual. You might recall I mentioned this squid who runs this shell game with you. We'll need to use him here. First of all, we need a buy-in, some starter gold, and back at the pirate tavern a fight has broken loose.
You wouldn't recognize iambic pentameter if it bit you on the arse! Oh, I suppose you're the haiku expert.
And if you let the fight happen, you might notice a gold tooth dropping on the floor. But you can't just take it.
You stay. Hey, that's my gold tooth.
You know, it's weird that I'm reviewing another adventure game that involves stealing a pirate's gold tooth without him noticing. Funny little coincidence there. Still, with this one, we could of course use alchemy to our advantage. Lead can become gold, but gold can also become lead. Equivalent exchange, baby. And nobody questions the taking of a lead tooth. And once out, switch it back and use it as currency. Alas, the only way to actually win here is use luck. And by that I mean literally place a lucky horseshoe on the floor. It makes the game of random chance go in your favour. And that's an interesting way of solving this puzzle. I kind of dig it. Once you beat the squid enough times, or simply collect enough gold teeth from the brawl, you'll need to make them into coins. But gold is soft and easily flattened into shape. This hand grinder is once again a good friend. And with that, Zanthia can buy a voucher and get on the ship to Volcania. But we're not quite there yet. The ship itself isn't going where we need it to go. In fact, it instead goes to a cannibal island.
Dang it, Bones. I'm an alchemist, not an archaeologist.
And we don't want to be there. Not really. This is kind of a weird puzzle in that you don't want to be here at all. There's no way to not die here as far as I can tell. Instead, we need to throw the ship off course beforehand with a magnet hidden near the wheel. And then the crew will eject Zanthia near Volcania. I mean, hey, as long as it works.
Good riddance!
I'd better dry off. That's better. Much better. This is not one of the beaches in the travel brochures.
And here we are at Volcania, a place that lives up to its name. It's full of lava and steamy vents. In other words, it's hot.
Oh shoot, I'm burning.
This area is a loop with a bunch of people claiming to be able to help for a small charge. The charge is a number of starfish or sand dollars or seashells.
You have come to the right place, my dear. Please let me give you this brochure detailing my personal guidance services.
Many people here have things which they claim can help, and you can get a couple of items off them. But ultimately, they're just chewing you around. They'll keep asking you to give them stuff as a charge.
There is a small 2 starfish charge, of course.
There is a charge of 4 seashells.
There is a small fee of 8 seashells.
For only 6 sand dollars, you may buy a copy of our map to the altar at the center of the world.
But there's always another charge, another set of seashells or something. It's a joke. You might at least pick up on some ingredients worth collecting here. A red leather binder, a feather of snipe, and hot air for the flying shoes potion. Although I don't actually think that's useful in the end. We can also get our stick back. That stick will never leave us. It's our closest companion. The real way down, however, is suggested by this rival mage, Jessica of Miltonia.
Vents and rocks. The head mystic back home said I was supposed to do something with rocks and vents, but I had no idea this is what he meant.
Something to do with the vents. You just gotta drop down them.
What's this? A hot air vent? This trip has been hard on my wardrobe.
This is the real Volcania here. Like I said, that upper area is just kind of like a joke to pad out the game. And at first I was kind of annoyed at how I was just running around and collecting useless items for people, but looking back at it, it is pretty funny. The game tricks you with pointless bureaucracy instead of searching for a logical solution. It's silly and it fits with the tone of the game. I actually quite like it. Well, we're finally here to get the Anchor Stone, but this door stands in the way. We know it's the right door for the Anchor Stone though because, well, I mean, there are some context clues. There are also a number of dinosaurs down here and a Triceratops is blocking the door to the Anchor Stone. And there's even a T-Rex that Zanthia seems to want to ride. But you do need a steering method or else... You know. The deaths in this game are pretty funny. Like I mentioned before, you do get ample warning before they happen, so they're not ridiculously unfair. When something's a bad idea, the game will pretty much tell you that. As for the steering method, Zanthia pretty much spells it out when you see some black pebbles.
Black pebbles on the ceiling. Why do I get the feeling I'm going to have to make a teddy bear?
Alright, I guess we're making a teddy bear. I wouldn't have guessed that as a solution, so thanks for telling me. These vents aren't quite enough to get to the black pebbles though, but Zanthia does give you another big hint.
Black pebbles. Do you like to play fetch, boy?
I mean, that's pretty clear. There's a lot of puzzles at this point in the game that just pretty much tell you the solution. It's weird to see that in a game from 1993. This Stegosaurus is also just tremendously cute. I love this area, so many cute dinos. So we have some black pebbles, all we need now is some fuzz and a heart of gold. Aww. The fuzz is found in the crystal palm trees, and the heart of gold is made by converting this lump of lead. It just so happens to be heart-shaped. And boom, it's teddy bear time for our T-Rex. That was neat. What does this net us in the end though? A torn piece of red cloth. I mean, that might not seem like much, but now we can take a bull by the horns, or perhaps a Triceratops.
No!
Just make sure you aim it the right way, Zanthia. But if all is well and good, we finally make it to the Anchor Stone.
I've made it. I've found it. Hey, watch it. Bimbo.
Bimbo? Goddamn, alright.
Zanthia! Thank goodness I found you. The real problem has nothing to do with these foolish anchor stones.
Wait,
Marco.
Really?
What do you mean? And how did you open that portal?
Hurry up and get in here. We've got to get up to the Wheels of Fate. That's why everything is disappearing. Whoa!
Marco!
Kyrandia 2 kind of has this habit of making the player do things and then turning around and saying, actually, you didn't need to do that. Remember when we made gold for the first chapter for the ferry? And when we got there, it was burnt down? And remember that whole loop at the beginning of Volcania? I'll admit, this does kind of undercut things a little bit. Yes, I'm solving the puzzles, but it feels less rewarding this way. It's a little bit of a nitpick, but it's still worth noting. Anyhow, Marco drops off another page of the spellbook, giving us more to work with. Now, to get out of Volcania, you simply have to plug all the vents with rocks, like Jessica said, and you can ride the explosion out.
Ouch! I need a stunt mystic. This outfit is a little delicate for the rough terrain.
I gotta say, I love all the costume changes in this game. Considering these are sprites, that's a surprising amount of work. Changing the clothes of 2D characters is more work than a 3D one, where you can simply rig a different model. It's an extra bit of detail that makes me appreciate this game. And I love that Zanthia has an outfit for so many occasions of different types. I really adore it, and I've never seen any other point-and-click do anything even remotely similar. Now we're at the Petrified Forest, and these trees are petrified in the sense of being, well, scared. But they aren't budging, and Xanthia's gonna need to work around them. To the left is this animated armor guarding the bridge, and he won't let anyone across. So once again to the spellbook we go. And given the nearby snow, it seems like the only solution we have is to use a regular snowman potion. Not sure how this helps, but it must be cold weather, and yeah, it looks cold I guess. We just need snow, charcoal, and moss. Snow and moss are pretty obvious, but charcoal is a little more challenging. How would you normally find charcoal? By burning wood, usually. So essentially, we need to ignite some twigs with what the game calls a rolling stone. This flint rock here is perfect friction, and with that, charcoal. Perfect for making a snowman.
That does it! I'm going to go work somewhere I'm appreciated.
He gets so mad that he leaves, allowing us to see, this.
Is that foot some sort of livestock? I don't believe I'll eat any milk products here, thank you.
Yeah, that's a couple of guys chasing a foot. I'm not sure how to explain this one. And there's not a lot we can do to interfere right now either. We do have a dented up old statue here though, so let's give it a little bit of luster by making it gold.
What does this box have to do with that statue?
This is actually part of the Playroom spell. According to this, if you polish a statue, you get something in return. Well, let's see what we got.
A magic drum, a Frank Klepacki special.
Frank Klepacki is the musician behind these games, by the way. He's a Westwood staple, and he's on top form in this one too. What a cute reference. You also get a jack from this box. But not that kind of jack in the box, this kind of jack. The ones that absolutely wreck if you step on them with bare feet. Say, that gives me an idea.
Thanks for the help.
He is rather slippery.
What the heck is that? A wild foot or what?
This is the foot of Balram, an ancient and evil wizard that lived in a galaxy far, far away.
So, yeah, this might explain a few things. The various body parts wreaking havoc belong to an evil wizard, who was exploded most unceremoniously by the forces of good. Now his severed parts are coming back for vengeance, including his hand. So that's what it is, the Hand of Balrom. Huh, that explains why it knows so much about magic as well. Anyhow, you may be wondering how any of this helps us get past the trees. Well, the drum makes them dance, I guess. Anxiety can be soothed with music, I suppose. I don't know, let's move on. Up here is a squirrel who doesn't want you to head up the trams, and one who definitely does not take bribes.
Cool, payday! See ya!
I lied to you.
But how can I use the tram?
This gets him out of the picture, but now the ski lifts aren't in service because the wheel isn't turning. Although I do still have my rolling stone, I can always depend on that. We can also always depend on the hand, which we now know to be the Hand of Balrom, to mess things up.
I'll teach you to toy with my trust.
Marco!
Do you want to sound any less interested, Zanthia? What? It stopped? My Rolling Stone betrayed me.
Have the Rolling Stones killed.
Oh, sir, those aren't...
Do as I say.
I guess I'll have to climb the rest of the way. It's too cold up here for this outfit. Wish I'd brought my skis.
This is probably one of the smallest areas in the game. In fact, you might have noticed that Kyrandia 2 gets gradually more linear as it goes along. There are 3 screens in this starting area. It's a tiny section, and in some ways it's almost too hard of a swing in the other direction compared to Kyrandia 1. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I feel like there should be a sweet spot in between the two. Anyhow, you've got the top of the ski lift with a mother and her child.
What a beautiful child you have.
Neither one of us talks to strangers, thank you.
You've got this snowy cliff face which we want to climb.
Boy, this cliff is too slippery to climb without special mountaineering gear.
And you've got a lodge with a couple of bros who don't want to lend you their equipment.
Could I borrow that rope?
Them's men's supplies, darling.
Oh hey, misogyny exists in the Kyrandia universe. I had no idea, that's wild. So with such limited supplies, what potion will we cook up this time? Well, it becomes clear pretty quickly. There are 2 snowman potions here, one regular, the other abominable. Ooh, fun. Perhaps our abominable snowman can create a web of fear to terrify these 2 dolts in the cabin. We just need snow, musk, feathers, and sugar. Snow is... I'm not even going to dignify that one with an explanation. Musk isn't difficult either, there's some on this mounted head here. And for feathers, there's a hole for the duster on the top of the ski lift. The only challenging ingredient here is sugar, and well, I guess we're going to have to literally take candy from a baby. The mother won't let that happen, but she might, if we can buy it. So back to alchemy we go. The cabin contains some cannonballs, and much like other lead-based metals, we can give it a cheeky conversion into a giant gold ball. How's that for a bribe?
What a sucker.
With our abominable concoction procured, we can give these guys a little shock, which... does not work. At least not the way in which we intended. Oh god, no. This Yeti has become smitten with Zanthia, even outside of her abominable transformation. And we don't speak Yeti, so we can't really reason with him. And Yeti speak is just reversed English.
You changed your clothes.
I mean, I can do that too. Who is How's that for Yeti speak? I got more where that came from. The Yeti also doesn't want us to leave.
What? Don't. You'll get hurt, Lim.
Perhaps we can offer him a better option. After all, those two hunters have turned up now, and we still have the requisite ingredients to turn someone into a yeti. For sugar, we've got this candy. For snow, these icicles. And there are feathers in the pillow. As for musk, well, cologne is technically a form of musk. I gotta be honest, I love that. Sometimes the wordplay hits and sometimes it misses. This moment is a definite hit for me.
We don't need any help from you.
I wasn't offering any.
Sorry fellas, it's Yeti time. I'm sure you all three will have plenty to talk about.
Whoa, he's bisexual. I didn't know that.
By the way, I'm bisexual.
We can now climb out with the icicles and have another check-in with Fawn before we reach this area's final puzzle. The rainbow bridge we need to cross has been disabled, so Zanthia has to restore it with this alchemical machine. And here you're basically tested on your memory of various portions throughout the game. You have this catalogue of ingredients to sort through, and you've got to make the colours of the rainbow in potions here. We could also make this confetti potion for the first time here, which is very exciting. But this area does prohibit confetti, and you will get punished for it.
That was fun. I guess that rule on the sign isn't strictly enforced. Hey, what happened to the rainbow machine?
Ooh, that's ouch. Overall, this puzzle's decent, but more time consuming than anything else. Just remember Roy G. Biv, and the various potions you made before, and it should be a breeze. Except for indigo. That's the challenging one. For that one, you need to recall a little bit of alchemy from the first game. Gemstones and flowers can make colour potions, and indigo is a sort of bluish purple. The game does give you a hint for this, but it does very much lean on your knowledge of Kyrandia 1, which could be a bad thing depending on the order in which you play the games. Either way, when the rainbow bridge is sorted, you can climb up with an icicle and make your way to save Kyrandia once and for all.
How dare you! I'll teach you to push me around. Whoops! My icicle, that's it. I've had it. You don't know who you're messing with. Watch out, Mr. Hand. Now I'm mad.
The final segment of Hand of Fate has Zanthia donning her commando gear and heading for battle. Battle in a point and click though is, of course, more puzzle solving. But worry not, there's not much left. The Wheels of Fate is this strange, mechanical and yet otherworldly area, with gears and statues abound. To get in, we need to surpass this burning hot light beam reflected from this golden ball. And when you hear the word golden, you know what's coming. Kyrandia 2 has this strong set of rules that you eventually pick up on. If something is lead or gold, there's no doubt it'll be converted. And then puzzles like this just become a breeze. Once inside, we can see that Kyrandia's fate wheel is in deep trouble with a gear missing from it. The right hand pathway leads us to what we need here. The last area doesn't have another potion to make though. Oh no. The final puzzle before the showdown is a Tower of Hanoi puzzle. Actually, it's technically two of them. The Tower of Hanoi puzzle is basically one of those ones where you swap discs into free slots in order to build a tower. But you've got limited slots to swap things into. With 3 potential towers, we need to open the left 2 doors here. I don't personally find these types of puzzles difficult, just fiddly and again, time consuming. It took me about 10 minutes to do both of these once I realised what I needed to do. Again, not difficult, but not necessarily interesting either. I mean, at least it's not a sliding tile puzzle. For your efforts, you're rewarded with the gear and our trusty old stick. The latter is necessary to actually click the gear into place. It's a good thing this stick is with us. We'd be in big trouble without it. Oh god, I'm about to die.
No!
Oh crap, did I forget to save? Oh no. Okay. Always, always, always save after an annoying, time-consuming puzzle. Rookie error on my behalf there. The final sequence of the game has Zanthia taking on the hand in an action sequence. I was reminded a little bit of the action sequences in Quest for Glory here, in that it's mostly a trial and error thing. You'll die a lot figuring it out.
No! No!
Oh god. But if you can figure out where to click and who to click on at the right time, Marco turns up to help, and you can dispatch the Hand of Balrom for good.
Ugh. Ugh, how disgusting.
At least Kyrandia is safe now.
Sure, but I shouldn't have had to do all this in the first place.
Did I hear you say, thanks, Marco, for all your help?
Thanks, Marco, for all your help.
Please stop. You're making me blush.
I kind of love Marco. There's something about his smug ineffectuality that I find fantastic. For the credits, we get a cute little look at the various characters we met across the game, and given the various places we visited, there's quite a few.
Oh no, we're out of cheese.
Let's try this earwax. It's orange.
Oh, ew. There's actually a post-credit sequence too, teasing the third and final game in the Kyrandia trilogy. So at some point, we'll be back in Westwood's fantasy world one last time, for Legend of Kyrandia 3, Malcolm's Revenge. But that was Legend of Kyrandia 2, a kind of messy point and click, but a somewhat delightful one. I mean, yes, it's occasionally a bit too linear and rushed, but I think it manages to solve the shortcomings of the first game. I adore the alchemy mechanic, and it was well used here too. Making potions was a lot of fun. With a silly and fun cast of characters as well as gorgeous presentation, I just think this is a great game. Not perfect, but very solid nonetheless and definitely worth recommending. I'm not sure when I'll get around to Kyrandia 3, but hopefully it won't be 6 years. You guys know I can't guarantee that though.